There is a clear statutory remedy that must be followed, namely that excess phantom votes are removed from the certified vote count. Until reconciliation has been completed in each precinct, the legislatively mandated recount cannot begin. Today's petition is, of course, within the legal framework, of the canvassing process and the recount. We are seeking the court's assurance that only legally cast ballots are counted. We believe the next governor should be seated on January 3rd, with an outcome that has followed the letter of the law and that we can have confidence in. With that, I'd be happy to take any questions you might have.
How many overvotes do you think there are?
Well, we don't know, and frankly, it doesn't matter to us. Based on what happened in 2008, with the Secretary of State himself saying as many as 17,000, that leads us to believe that if there's a similar issue this time, it needs to be addressed before the recount begins. So it doesn't matter. It doesn't let the chips fall where they may.
So you don't have any evidence that this has happened?
We do have evidence that it's happened. We have affidavits from election judges saying reconciliation did not take place on election night as is statutorily required. All we're asking for is for what is required by law.
And where did reconciliation not take place?
We have affidavits from at least a dozen election judges around the state, and what we are told from the Secretary of State himself in 2008, there were 17,000 more ballots cast than there were voters who signed in the voter rolls. That's an indication reconciliation did not take place in 2008. We want to make sure it takes place in 2010 before the recount begins.
So about this process so far, as I mentioned, we're now finishing up step 3 of our comprehensive process for validating the election results. First, on election night, and this is important, on election night, each precinct conducted a reconciliation of the ballots. We have examples of these reports here, and they were approved by the county canvassing boards all over the state of Minnesota. Then we had the county canvassing process, which is now complete, which occurs after every election. Mark Dayton's margin after that process remained at 9,000 votes, nearly 9,000 votes. There has been a shift, as I've mentioned before, of only 101 votes in this process, which is about a 0.00479% of total votes statewide. And so now we're in the final process, this post-election review process, where each county selects a handful of precincts to check the accuracy of the machines by conducting a hand recount. And once again, our election system in Minnesota, which we all take great pride in, received a clean bill of health.